Hello and welcome to Analog Insights. In today's episode we talk about coffee.
Yeah, it's one of my most favorite beverages, and where I grew up or where I was brought up during my childhood, coffee was very important.
Why? And why is coffee important until today?
Coffee is important until today. You must imagine the annual coffee exports have a value of about $16 billion with a revenue of at least about $100 billion. And this makes coffee to the most important agricultural product worldwide. And these numbers only don't express the hard work standing behind every cup of coffee of about 25 million people in 42 countries who make a living of this.
And what does that have to do with analog photography and also with photography books?
This has to do with analog photography and photography books, as I want to show you today a book of Sebastião Salgado. And Sebastião Salgado grew up in the environment of coffee sherry and rice mill, which was owned by his parents. And in these mills, the coffee cherries or the coffee beans are extracted from the coffee cherries and prepared for further export, because you cannot export the cherries, you need only the beans. And this is what happened on the farm or at the mill of Sebastião Salgado, and he was the only boy of 8 children, and so from his early childhood on he accompanied his father when he was driving with a lorry in the surrounding areas and collecting the coffee cherries from the farmers.
Wow. And how did he get from there to becoming a photographer and then doing a book about coffee?
I think that's a really funny story. Sebastião Salgado studied economy in Paris and met his wife there. And his first job as an economist was for the International Coffee Organization, the IOC. And at one of these journeys he did for the IOC, he lent a camera from his wife. He didn't own a camera, so he lent his wife's camera. And that was in 1973. And during this business journey, he considered that he has much more interest and fun in doing photography instead of his job as an economist. And so he quit his job and became a world-famous photographer and a great photographer.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, probably everyone has been there before, doing a business trip and carrying your camera and thinking, I would prefer shooting.
That's what I'm doing every day. I have my camera with me on my business trips, and I think every time it would be better to become a photographer, but it's very difficult making a living of it. So.
Yeah, today at least. So how did he get from becoming, of course, a world-famous photographer to kind of doing this book about coffee and how this made?
He owns a big part of land in Brazil where he grew up. He got it from his father when his father died. And this piece of country was totally destroyed by the way agriculture was done in those days in Brazil. And the farm workers and the landowners didn't have an alternative. They needed to get out of the earth whatever they could. But that finally led to destroying this country. And Salgado, who had this experience of all his travels all over the world, decided that he wanted to renaturate this land, and so he started a project which is called Instituto Terra, and this in this project he completely renaturated this piece of country to a healthy environment, and this led finally to a contact with the Illy family, who is a famous Italian coffee producer.
Of course. Yeah.
And the Illy family supported him with his project in Brazil. And the Illy family also is very interested in providing enough money for the farm workers who produce the coffee. They are interested in fair trade, and they are also interested in ecological agriculture. And so the final result of this project and this cooperation was a book, what we want to talk about.
Yeah, so let's move away the coffee and move over the book, and let's take a closer look at the beautiful book.
The original title of this book is Profumo di Sogno, The Smell of Dreams. And this beautiful book tells the story behind every cup of coffee we enjoy.
So let's take a closer look and tell me more about it. What are the kind of images that we can see here?
Yeah, we have a pre-word. This book is available in English, in French, in Italian, in Spanish, and also in German. And here we see, with the first image, this typical Salgado style.
Strong contrasts.
Strong contrasts, deep blacks, and
patterns. Lines.
This is
harsh nature.
If you ever saw images from Salgado, you immediately identify it as a book from Salgado. And what I really like in this book, it has a lot of analog images, and they are very well mixed with some late images which are done with a digital camera. But the quality of the digital images is adapted to his primary work, which he did, as I know, with Leica R cameras on analog black and white film. So you don't have a cut in the book between the older and the newer images.
Very nice.
Yeah. And it's a journey to the nature. It's a journey to how coffee is made, how coffee grows. And the very interesting thing is in his Terra project, Sebastião Salgado also has coffee plants, but the coffee plants are surrounded by local plants, so you don't have a monoculture. You have these coffee plants protected by a natural growth, and so you don't need any poisons to protect pesticides to protect the coffee plants. And this coffee is called shadow coffee. And the quality of this shadow coffee is much better because it doesn't contain so much acid as the regular coffee in big plantations has.
Wow. So he brought his knowledge that he kind of collected around the world, brought it back home to his own country and to the land that he grew up on.
Changed
how coffee was made there.
For this book project, he visited 10 countries, taking images in 10 countries in South America, in Africa, and also in Asia. And what he told is that you don't see big differences when you watch to the people. If they are from South America, Africa, or Asia, they look more or less the same. These coffee farmers. That's quite interesting.
Interesting observation.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is a typical Salgado image.
This is typical Salgado. Yeah. And
really
we know these images from his book, The Salt of the Earth,
yes.
for example. And
beautiful Wenders film, by the way. Also recommendation if you haven't seen it.
Beautiful Wenders film. Yeah.
Take a look at it.
Here, then we see some images of the people, and
so this is India, probably.
Yeah. And for me, very interesting with images, with books from Salgado, you always have this social, economical context, and we get a very deep sight into the situation of people in other parts of the world. And for me, this is a more collective image than any films or movies, because this stays.
It's a timeless statement.
Timeless statement, yeah.
So, very interesting, as you could see. If you are a coffee drinker as well, like we are, you might want to check out this book. And also, if you're just interested in economics and kind of social reportage style photography, we can also highly recommend it. Available in different languages, so English should be available as well. Sebastião Salgado. And thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this somewhat different episode of Analog Insights. If you did, please remember to like this video and maybe even share it with your friends. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel. Jules, Greg, and I, we really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you soon. Bye.